In the first video, we ended up saying that the documents split between the customer and supplier, and we ended up having the sales returns represented by debit note and credit note issued by the supplier. Last thing that's done between the customer and the supplier in the circle of sales and purchase is the payment. We do the payment, the customer does the payment, and the supplier does the receipt. That's it. The most important document in this process is the invoice, and the invoice should include certain information. Name and address of the supplier, and name and address of the customer, and customer account number, because it's the reference where the record will be done. Unique invoice number for easy reference. So every invoice should have a unique number so it will be easy to be traced. Full description of the items supplied. Unit price of the individual items and total price including trade discounts if any. These are very important information and has all to be included in the invoice. Carriage or delivery charges and the payment method and payment terms and the invoice date. These are all information has to be included in the invoice. And we also remember that the E and OE inclusion in the invoice. E is errors and omission are expected. This will give the right to the supplier to claim the correct amount and information of the invoice. We have the table here saying the document name, and the customer and the supplier. What actions to be done? When we have the purchase order, there is no entry, and for both customer and supplier. When we do the order confirmation, there is no entry. When we do delivery note, there is no entry. We start doing the entry when we have the sales invoice. We include it in purchase journal for the customer and sales journal for the supplier. And we have the debit note, there is no entry. Remember, debit note is a request from the customer to the supplier, but the credit note is the one to be recorded. We have the credit note responding to the debit note. It's included in the purchase return for the customer and included in the sales return for the supplier. They are opposite. For the customer, it's a purchase. For the supplier, it's a sales. Statement of account, it includes all the entries and it's issued by the supplier. Payment, bank, and account payable or trade payables, and in the customer and in the supplier, it's bank and accounts receivables or trade receivables. Now, we talk about the statement of account. Statement of account is issued by the supplier usually on monthly basis, and it's for the credit customers and summarize all the transactions during the month. It includes the invoices, returns of sales, and payments. Started with previous month's balance and ended with the current month balance. Then we talk about the receipts. Receipts documents, that's proof of payment. What are the receipts? Receipts are sales receipt or checks or statement of account or bank account statements. We will talk here about the sales receipt and briefly we'll mention about checks because checks are not required for the IGCSE students. It's required for the O-level, Cambridge O-level, but we will just define the check. The sales receipt is one of the proof of payment, and it is providing a proof of payment for purchase and payments. Sales receipt is usually issued when payment is immediate. So it's issued when payment is immediate, and either it's by cash or bank transfer. Bank transfer can take the form of credit card as well. So although we're using a credit card, but it's a bank transfer. It has several forms, but must contain certain information. What are the information? Seller's name and address. This is the supplier or sellers. Transaction date. Description of the supplied items. Price of each item. Total price of all items, including discounts. And sales or value-added taxes. And payment method, if it's a credit card, bank transfer, or cash. Checks. Last thing in this video will be checks. And check is a method of payment and acts as a receipt as well. So if you issue the check, it's a receipt. Check is a written order to the bank to pay the sum of money on the check to the persons or organization named on the check. With this, we have finished the documentary record sessions. Thank you.